Right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the ABPCO Awards Showcase webinar. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Matt Stalker, and I'm the Executive Director at ABPCO. Um, we're going to be hearing from three of last year's award winners today, and we'll have to take questions as we go. So if you've got any questions, do put them in the chat, and we'll work through them as we go through the session. It's a particularly timely session because we've just opened 4 award entries for 2026. Hopefully you see on my screen, we are open for entries until the 7th of August. So if you're thinking about entering, you've got plenty of time, but don't leave it too late. And this year's awards will be presented on the 10th and 11th of December in Belfast. So we're going to go straight into it. We've got 3 speakers, like I said. We've got Dominic Sims from the British Society of Soil Science, and Dominic was his organisation was the winner of last year's Best Member Engagement Award. We've got Rebecca Towell from Full Circle Events and Exhibitions, who won the 2025 Industry Supplier of the Year Award, and we've got Isha Lakhani, who was our winner of the 2025 Student of the Year Award. So before we get too far into it, I'm going to start with Rebecca. Have you got any tips or advice for anybody that's thinking about entering this year's ABPCO Awards but doesn't know where to start?
Yeah, I think, and well, we started. So there was a couple of us that got into arena. So it was myself, our marketing team, and then some of our sort of like wider exhibitor team as well. And we were kind of talking about, all the association events that we've provided for ABCO members and working through sort of like what we'd done differently. So I think from our side, it was really kind of choosing that case study that we could base our award around. And then once we kind of chosen that case study, we were able to then really kind of go into the granular detail of what was successful, how we collaborated with the client, and then we very much got the client on board because especially for the industry supplier one, you have to be you have to have a PCO member behind you. So it was about very much getting them on board as well. And then that's obviously then when we kind of worked in collaboration with her having her award as well, because our client won Best Association Event by an in-house. And then obviously kind of tag teamed each other as well, really. So I think you need to start with a good case study and a good reason as to what you're going to build your award around. I think that's the best advice. That's where we kind of started.
Great. And Dominic, what about you? Anything to share on why people should enter? Any tips for people?
Yeah, sure. I agree very much with Rebecca. Yeah, picking that case study that you can kind of build that submission and almost that story around is really important. And then from there, like I said, building in those sort of metrics and really highlighting those tangible things of whether attendance, this maybe sponsorship or anything like that that we can build in. So yeah, it was kind of really starting from that case study, bringing in testimonials and different things like that. And the only other thing I'd say is sort of back to exam period, read the question in terms of criteria that ABCO put on for each of the award categories is obviously really important. Looking for what the judges are looking for, and trying to deliberately achieve those specific things. So strip it all back and then see what bits you're directly hitting with regards to the criteria. But yeah, that's really from me.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It sounds obvious, but answer the question you're being asked. I'll give everybody a little sneak peek behind the scenes. I can tell you now that the vast majority of award entries arrive, I'll say the fortnight before the deadline. It's actually tighter than that. It's probably the week of, and there's a big spike on the day of entry deadline and things like that. So people do leave it to the last minute. I mean, that's understandable. There's no advantage to getting your entry in early. But what I would say is if you're thinking about entering, you can still go onto the portal now and just make sure you know what the questions you need to answer are, because whilst it is fairly straightforward and it's designed to be straightforward, if you do find yourself needing to gather testimonials or particular bits and pieces, that's not something you want to be doing on the day of or the day before deadline day. And I also know from not necessarily the ABCO Awards, but having worked on awards management process in the past, those testimonials and that data is so important, because clearly everybody, when they submit an entry, is going to tell us how good their work is. Great. But having other people tell us how good your work is and actually having the metrics to back that up where it is appropriate and possible to do so, that can make a big difference. Isha, coming to you, yours is slightly different because you weren't putting your company forward, you were putting yourself forward, which I think is even more daunting as a challenge. We're recording this session. We'll put it up on the ABCO YouTube session channel. So I'm sure we'll have other student members come to us in due course and say, "Oh, I might enter that award." What advice would you give to other ABCO student members and other event management students who are thinking, could I possibly put myself forward for this? What would you say?
So I think when I did my application, the one thing I stuck to was being real to myself because I think that's what you want to convey to the judges. So as much as you like don't use AI and use your own language, you convey your own tone of voice because it's obviously you as an individual that you're sort of pitching to the judges. So obviously being real, do not use AI and just conveying your strong sense of tone of voice that you have is really important. The way I did it was I actually on a separate piece of paper, put down all the experiences I had and all the sort of things I wanted to include just as a draft, so that I have everything like as a brainstorm on another piece of paper. And then I basically took that and created a story from that. So, sort of doing like a bit of drafting work before you put your final application is also really helpful. The other thing I think, as Rebecca and Dom mentioned, were obviously it's all about the evidence and the details as well. So be as specific as you can get because there might be other applications. It's like from a judge's perspective, if you think about from the judge's perspective, how would they decide whether it's A or B? So maybe the thing that makes you the winner and not the other person could be in those little details. So just being as specific and detailed is really important.
Yeah, thank you. And in terms of the reasons for entering, obviously it's great to win an award, but there are different reasons why people might want to win an award. Sometimes it's very personal, sometimes it's about business, generating new business. From your point of view, Isha, what was it that made you take that? It's quite a big step to put yourself forward. I think actually saying this is me, not just my company. I can't hide behind it being us. It's all about me here. What was it that made you want to do that and feel confident to do that?
I think that's one of the things, like even when you like post on LinkedIn, sometimes it's a little difficult for you to be like, oh, I'm just gonna praise myself. But it's one of those things which you have to do, which is part of the world we live in, where you have to pitch yourself, you have to present yourself in the best way possible. So actually applying for such industry awards as a student perspective is really helpful because it's really good to be on your CV, even if you're nominated or shortlisted. And more than that, actually, it's also really good for recognition for your own hard work. So it's also quite self-motivating for me to like actually when I'm writing the application, I actually found out how well I had worked throughout the past year. So I realized what I could do wrong, what I did wrong, what I could have done right. So really nice, like a self-discovery sort of thing in a way. But again, the most important thing was a really good addition to the personal profile. So whenever you like pitching yourself to somebody else, you can obviously bring that up in a conversation that, oh, I was one of the winners at one of these industry awards last year. So it's really good at sort of builds the trust amongst employers, especially, and just other people you're talking to. And it's also really good for individually. I personally, when I finished my application, it made me before the application, I was like, oh, am I doing enough? Like, can I do more? But when I filled my application, when I was running out of words to sort of put all my experience in, I realized that, oh, I think I did a pretty good job in my past year. So it's also good for you to have like those personal checkpoints for yourself. So such awards and such applications really help you do that as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and you made a really good point there about the word count. So there is a strict word count on our entry form. It's enforced. The system won't let you go over it. So it's a really good lesson in learning to write concisely and cherry pick the really important stuff in your entry as well. What about you, Rebecca, from a full circle perspective? Um, Putting yourself forward, what have been the benefits of winning an award like this?
Yeah, so I think from our side, kind of going back a couple of years, so we've only been an industry member of ABCO for sort of like the past 3 years. So and this was the first time that we'd entered the award. So we were very much kind of wanting to get to know the industry, kind of getting to know the association, getting to know the clients there. And throughout, obviously, being members of ABCO, we've actually won new clients anyway, just from general networking. So I think for us, I think it was very much kind of that recognition that actually we've worked the membership really well. and we know we're valued by the members of the association now, and it's kind of, it was obviously, getting that recognition of, we are very collaborative with our clients, and it is about showcasing that to the whole room as well. So from ours, it was very much obviously to help drive new business, but also to kind of give, to show recognition to the clients that we work with as well, because like I said, ours was very much a case study, and then obviously the case study, the event that was winner of the in-house association event, that was a case study that mentioned Full Circle as well. So we're all about kind of collaborating with our clients, and I think it just felt like a really nice time to apply that to an award. And yeah, from the back of it, we've had great sort of publicity, great new inquiries and things. So from our side, it was very much that business sales, really.
Great. And Dominic, for you, I'm going to guess that most members of the British Society of Soil Science won't know that ABPCO exists. They're going to be deep in their world. Has winning been something you can share with your members, as well as, I'm guessing, your board and your colleagues? But talk to us about how winning has impacted you and your organisation.
Yeah, that's right. Not everybody knew about about ABCO. Like you say, they're all deep inside what they're doing. Our membership is made up of sort of academics and also practitioners, so people that are working and within sort of science, basically. So yeah, winning the award was absolutely fantastic for us, because yeah, we're able to share it, like you say, with our board, and we're able to show that what we're doing, we're putting on some real value for our members, and that is that is being recognised by a body such as ABCO, and obviously when people look into it, realise that that's a really good achievement for us. We're only a small team, but the thing with this award that we entered was around membership engagement. So our members were involved in the process right from the start. We're putting together a working group and things, and then bringing in other initiatives at the conference that other members could engage in. So we say it didn't really just attract members; it activated them, and really got them involved in what we were doing. So yeah, it's been it's fantastic for us. It was great even just to be nominated with lots of other associations and events companies that probably put on more events and bigger events than what we do. But it's great to see that it's being recognised for the value that we're producing. So yeah, absolutely fantastic.
So tell us a little bit more then, Dominic, about your winning entry. So there will be others who are in-house roles, and hopefully from a member engagement point of view, there are lessons that they can take for their own societies and associations. So tell us a little bit more about what it was that you did, and how you went about winning the award.
Sure. So, yeah, come back to 2024, which yeah, always feels like a lifetime away. Each year you're preparing for the next event, but it was our annual conference. So for a lot of people, it's the sort of annual meeting. They kind of get together, and we put on a 2-day event, which involves presentations, so main keynotes, abstract presentations, also posters, and then other little initiatives as well, that go along with that. So we brought together people from policy, from academia, like we say, and also practitioners to come together to highlight the benefits within, the developments within the soil science industry. And it's people may have seen in the news recently. There's a lot more policy angles coming from it in terms of land use framework and things. So we were keen to get high profile people at the event. So we got people from sort of Welsh government and the other devolved nations as well to bring together a specific policy event. In terms of our members getting involved, like I say, we had a working group, which is made up of our executive team, but then also our presidential team, and then other members who are based in that specific area. So this particular year, we held it at Glamorgan Cricket Grounds, based in Cardiff. And so we're bringing together people from Natural Resources Wales and other organisations within our membership, to really find out, who are the best sort of local organisations to bring to the conference, who can really add value in terms of the presentations and things. Other engagements that we did. So the day before, we visited a local school as part of our sort of outreach and legacy project. As part of the conference, we don't like to just come and go. We like to sort of visit the different aspects of society and really leave our mark on there. So we had some members that went to a local school in Cardiff. We got in touch with the Education Authority, and they very kindly helped us organise that. And we put on a few different events, and basically sessions for a couple of classes around the importance of soil, using some of the experiments that we put together in our loan box schemes. So different experiments that people can do, find out about, which soils absorb more water than others and things like that. So the kids can get their hands dirty. So that was really, really, really good. And another key benefit was at the conference, someone had recently developed the first talking soil bench. So you see some of these benches around sort of parks and areas where you can press the buttons and hear a little bit more. Well, one's been developed to highlight a bit about the world around us and the ground beneath our feet. So that was one of our members, and we were more than happy to have that at our conference, and it added another engagement element that members who are attending were able to engage with and learn a little bit more. So it's a really key part of what we're trying to do for our members is, obviously they're focused on the research and everything, but there's also that stakeholder engagement aspect about how are we communicating with the outside world, other organisations and people or even policymakers. So hopefully our conference helped to achieve that and really sort of engage our members in everything that we were doing.
When did you decide to enter it? Was it before the event you thought this is going to be a good one, we could submit this, or was it based on the feedback you got or the vibes at the event?
Yeah, it was probably after, to be honest, because entering the award was sort of a bit of a twofold thing for us. I suppose everybody on the call and here, the events industry, it's all very quick turnaround, and by the time we're finished with one event, we're already thinking about the next one. So actually entering this award was quite a good, activity for us in terms of the review process. It was a year-long process really that we were working on. So it was great for us to look back a little bit about how everything had been organised, what went well, what didn't. And then also, going back to the case studies element about, any testimonials, quotes, and the different bits of data that we got from the event, and then had to think about how we could, we were keen to then submit after that. And, I'm very fortunate to have, a very supportive executive director who's very keen for us to put something forward for an award. And we said, well, why not we submit for ABPCO? And it was good, drawing out all that different data, the different case studies and things that come out of the conference. It was probably afterwards that we decided to do that, and then it was only then when we were kind of reviewing everything and looking at our surveys and different things like that we understood, okay, this was a good event. We had lots of good engagement from the start, and we really wanted to celebrate that. So we've done that internally, but then obviously with this award as well, it's kind of verified that for us, and it is something else for us to share.
Yeah, I love the idea of going into the schools just before the conference, and that's something that others could take in their sector. I can imagine the kids really enjoying getting their hands dirty in the soil and doing all that. So how are you building on this year? I presume the event happens again this year. Is it an annual event?
Yeah, it's an annual event. So we actually, last year's we actually held in Manchester actually. So it was the week before. It was a week before the ABPCO Awards. Unfortunately, I couldn't come afterwards. Having a 3-month-old at home, I used up all my annual leave from home, so I wasn't allowed to go. But our executive director was there and said it was a fantastic event, and it was it was just really good. We took along also one of our president-elect as well, who was also part of our board, so they were able to see sort of the other associations and people that are part of ABPCO, and the other things that were going on. So we're fully, we're interested in entering again for other events or for other categories. So we're also looking at sort of member engagement again, maybe see legacy and impact and potentially sustainability as well. And that was the good thing as well, that there was lots of different aspects that we could enter for, and it was important to try and tailor that to each category. So we're looking to enter again if we can.
Great, thank you. Rebecca, coming back to you then, I know you've prepared a few slides to share with us to talk through your winning entry. So over to you. I'll let you take it from here.
Can I request to share?
You can. That helps, doesn't it?
Thank you. So I thought it would be useful just to kind of run through sort of, our award entry, kind of the bits that we picked out. So let me just present this. Can everyone see that? Okay. Here we go. Presentation. So, so we kind of was, so our award summary was all about the fact that, so we went through a bit of a rebrand as well a couple of years ago, and it was all about this kind of collaboration. And I think when you were going in as an industry supplier of the year, it was all about something that's a little bit different, but also about how you've really helped your customer. So for us, it was just all about being more than a supplier. So it's about being that strategic partner to help organisers and help associations. So once we'd chosen our case study, which was for Pensions UK, we'd actually kind of given you a bit of a background on that client actually came to us straight after COVID, and their shows had kind of shrunk a little bit, and they'd also had to save money so that they'd reduced their build tenancy times. So what we kind of worked with them and did is we'd invested in quite a lot of new kit. So instead of having shell scheme stands and then big space onlys, we kind of made a bit of a middle ground, and we kind of introduced what we call our show ready packages. So it was very much working alongside them to look at their, like, kind of their challenges and what can we do to kind of fix that and make that better for them. So ours was all around kind of coming up with this kind of new concept that their shows were going to look and feel about. It was all coming together about what their clients expected from their shows, how we were then going to deliver, and how we were also going to then kind of onboard the clients as well. So working with sort of pensions and in collaboration with them, we came up with these show ready and bespoke packages. And this was all about being able to build within that 1 day tenancy to help them obviously save the money on not having a 2 day as well. And then it was really about them kind of giving their exhibitors more control over their stand presence as well. So developing it a step further, because it was kind of a new concept, we came up with personalised onboarding calls with everybody. So that was led by our pensions team internally at Full Circle. So every exhibitor, from that minute they booked that stand, they had full contact with Full Circle and pensions the whole way through, just to really onboard them, just to make sure that they were completely clear with everything they were getting. They were able to tailor their stand in a way that would help them kind of get the best out of exhibiting. And then from us having all of our services in-house, we were able to streamline everything for them. So they literally spoke to one person. So we could manage everything from the stand build, the graphics, the flooring, the furniture, everything. So it kind of gave them the confidence that one person they spoke to, they knew what they were getting, and they had that hand holding the whole way through. So what it then allowed us to do is the exhibitors then could turn up on show opening morning and they knew everything was going to be ready. We'd send them a picture the day before. They obviously, if they wanted to come the day before, they could. But you found a lot of them were a lot more confident coming to site. They were there. They could just literally turn up and they could focus on the job that they were doing rather than kind of having to worry about, managing an external stand contractor. So it was all about kind of that strategic partnership and working collaboratively to get us to that point. And then I just thought it would be useful kind of just flicking through, because what we actually did is we gave them different levels as well. So you had something that was like an entry level that allowed people who, didn't have the big budgets and everything to still come and still have a stand. They could then obviously upgrade them to like a silver package. But what we did at every step of the way is we made sure that not all the silver stands were going to look the same, because that's the last thing you want, is a boring exhibition stand where they all look the same. So everyone was able to choose a different design, and they just had parameters within that costing bracket as such. And then, so these are some of the pictures that were from the show. So we were able to get really nice client feedback, both from the organizer and from the exhibitor. And I think obviously going back to what Dominic said, it's making sure you've got those stats in there. So you need to be able to showcase why you've done what you've done and the impact that that's had. And that's obviously helps the judges then kind of qualify the rationale for, for you winning. And then the gold packages, so they're just another, again, that's sort of premium up there. We do 2 shows a year for these as well, but we had chosen an annual conference that we were going to do. So that was one where we obviously have a whole range of stands, but as you can see, they all look completely different. So although it was a modular solution, we were able to really still offer a differentiation between all the stands, which all of the exhibitors really loved. And then it was kind of coming up with that process with them, because obviously a lot of the people we're speaking to aren't event people. So I think for us, having that hand-holding experience the whole way through was really important, because it was different to what they'd expected. And, they might have had an external marketing before, and then they might have spoken to an external sound contractor. So bringing that all in-house, it was really key that we had a real strict process, and they felt really confident at every step of the way, and that they could come to the show knowing that their sound was going to be built exactly how they wanted it, and that they'd have everything that they need essentially. So in addition to all of this, obviously when we had invested in the EcoVision, which is our modular sort of premium solution, it was really important to look at the sustainability aspects of it as well. So although we'd done the case study on the event, from our side, all of our, it's like really nice and reflective to realize like actually when people say events are very wasteful, when you actually do a review and then they're not actually as bad as you think. So like all of our stock is stock and it goes back into stock, so there's no wastage there. All of our electrics and lighting, they're a plug and play system. So again, there's no wastage there. We use low wattage LED bulbs. The rewind carpet that we use on the stands, so that's now a water based and it's latex free. So it's actually now 100% recyclable and it was saved 85% CO2 from the old carpet that we use. So again, we were making small changes, but actually that were having a really big impact. We've also invested in new graphic, and none of our graphics have got PVC in anymore. So it's thinking about yes, what it's going to have, what the finish is going to be, but actually how are we going to recycle it, what we're going to do with it as well. So all of that had gone in the background of obviously getting these stands to a sustainable level as well. We can do a carbon calculator for each of the stands as well, and then it's always a cost-effective solution because again it's modular, so it's no wastage. So it was essentially a cost-effective, sustainable solution that helped the exhibitor and then the organizer. So I think all of that tied into a really nice case study for us. And then in kind of how we measured it, so the exhibitor engagement increased with many reporting sort of a seamless supported experience. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive with exhibitors setting up with ease. And then Pension described us as a trusted extension of their team because it was all about us working side by side with them the whole way through the planning process and really making sure that everyone felt that we were one team and we were very much in collaboration. We'd introduced new SLAs, so service level agreements. So that was to ensure the high performance and that everyone was accountable for every touch point. And then they obviously they just reported a reduction in the admin as well from their side. So actually it was a more seamless show for the organizer. And then it was just what Jess had said at the end. She said, Full Circle has become far more than a supplier. They are a strategic partner, an integral part of delivering a high quality event experience for both exhibitors and delegates. So it was getting Jess's buy-in from the offset as soon as we said that we wanted to use her as a case study. She was getting us the immeasurable impact. If you're going to do it with a client, you need to give them the time to obviously prep their award as their entry and all the detail that you want as well. But yeah, it's just a little bit. I thought it'd be nice to give a bit of an overview of how we did it and where we got to, and obviously some pictures to share as well.
Great, thank you very much. And did you find, as you said, these weren't necessarily events people, as you put it,
Yeah.
persuading them that I imagine there are people who would go, oh, we'll just have our table and chairs and we've got a few leaflets
Yeah.
and we just do that. How do you take them on that journey from what they've used to do to something that looks quite grand and spectacular, perhaps compared to what they used to do?
Yeah, and it's very much a journey, and I think that's where as well when sustainability became like a huge thing, a couple of years ago, it was taking them on that journey to know to actually you're going to actually have more engagement, you're going to be able to get more ROI from your show than from exhibiting because a table's not going to do it. Like you've got graphics, and it is taking them on that little journey of basically showing them the benefits. And like we had a lot of people in year one that did a bronze, and as they've seen the benefits, they've then gone up to a silver. So that's again helped the organizer with their sales as well, and then they've gone up to a gold because how it works is the organizer sells these packages at the point of selling the floor space. So again, we had to train the Pensions UK sales team and all the benefits of that as well. So we had them walking around our shows to show them how it was built. So it's giving them the confidence to say, actually, this is a great product. Our event's a premium event, and you're now going to get a premium stand to go with that. So it was about, it was bringing the exhibitors on a journey, and that's why the process was so crucial to make sure that as soon as they booked that, they felt that premium was there because they've invested more money on it. So so I think there was that side of things for anyone that was upgrading, but then also some of the space only stands where budgets had been cut, it was quite a nice way of being able to say to them, well, actually, we can still offer you something that's a little bit different, but it's modular and it's more cost effective. So we had twofold really of where we were trying to bring people into obviously kind of going away from a shell scheme stand to like a bronze, but then we had space onlys that were coming the other way. So it was finding that balance. But yeah, it was basically empowering the association to have the confidence to sell those stands as well. So we've been on a bit of journey with them.
And the sustainability angle, I think, is just becoming more and more
Exactly,
important.
yeah.
I've seen in my career, it's gone from being a bit of a nice to have to absolutely now just as close to essential as I think we are likely to get to.
And I think that was really important. So that slide, those slides I've just shown you, we actually created them a brochure. So they were sending that brochure out that had all those sustainability benefits in. So we kind of we did all of the visuals and we had some pictures obviously as we kind of moved through the different years, and then obviously kind of landing it with the process and the sustainability just kind of elevated that package as well for them.
Great, thank you. Moving back to Isha, then, we've heard about how you went about putting your entry together and why you entered. So, what was in it? What was it that made you the ABCO Student of the Year? What made you stand out, do you think, compared to the other candidates?
So the good thing was that I applied for the award right after my placement year, and on my placement year, I had already helping out for the UK Wedding Conference, which was my company's flagship yearly conference. So I added all about how was involved in planning that in terms of like actually more involved than I had ever been before for any of the other conferences. And at the same time, I also during that year because I also had some free time over the weekends and I kind of because my placement day was a lot of marketing and a lot of events and I missed being at events. So during my weekends, I started spending time on working at other conferences and helping and volunteering at other events. So I also was sort of the events manager for one of the other sustainability conferences that happened in Oxfordshire. And I was the main point of contact for that conference. So that was two major conferences where I was sort of helping out, like I was leading a huge part of that conference. And apart from that, I also was the team leader for this local business summit that was happening in May. So there were these three big conferences that I took part in over the course of the last year, which I thought would be nice to include because I think that was pretty much sort of one of the criteria that what have you done in the industry, what impact have you had, how you made yourself better. So I think my advice to like other people applying for the award would be like include as much of the work you have done in the application. Like no work experience is small, even if you've like helped out, especially volunteering. If you've volunteered, add that because that really shows the judges that you've gone out of your way, you've spent time doing these activities and helping out at events, and you've been on site. And even if, for example, you've not been on site at events, if you've sort of helped marketing at events, that still counts as part of the experience. So yeah, include as many experiences you've had as possible, and just really how like as the person you're applying, how hard you worked. So somehow you sort of need to through words and through like your application convey that really well of how how hard you worked throughout that 1 year. So yeah, it's a little tricky, but I think if you again like stay true to exactly what you've done and be really honest about all the work you've done, even if you might seem like it's not a big thing, but actually it is if you put it in the whole application. So yeah, just that would be my advice.
Great, thank you. And Dominic, any final tips or advice you'd give to anybody who's still wondering, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, I'm not sure it's quite for me?
No, I definitely recommend people do it for the, similar to what I said earlier. I think in terms of a review process, it's actually really, really good in terms of looking back on your events, and all of our events will have some aspect to it that I think we can pull out and really highlight. So I think it's definitely worth entering in the definitely in the ABCO awards, but just to really highlight those different aspects of your events, and look forward to even if you're just nominated or not nominated, go to the events because it's a really really good it's a really really good night, and you get to see lots of different people, up and coming students like we got, and also the different associations, and from our point of view to meet venues as well for future events. So it's all really beneficial in terms of that overall process. I think it's something, that kind of review aspect of it is sometimes something that we don't spend enough time on. So I think that's putting in an award and putting together an award submission is a really good way of doing that.
Great, thank you. And Rebecca, anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think from our side, it's just definitely like it's really choose that case study, but also it's looking at the different categories as well, because actually, we could have entered something like the sustainability one for that. So I think it's also making sure that you enter the right category. So once you've chosen that case study, it's reading that criteria and just looking at that category that you want to go in for, really. But yeah, I think definitely apply for it. And like Dominic said as well, definitely be at the event because yeah, it's one of the best events. And I think just that networking as well, I think that's, you can't put value on any of that.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, whether that's as a speaker or as a delegate. If you're watching on YouTube after the event, do head over to the ABCO website to find out more about the awards. Like I said, we are open for entries until the 7th of August. So do start thinking about whether or not you're going to take part, which categories, look at the criteria, something for everybody. And unlike some other award programs, our awards are free to enter. They're open to all. You do not need to be an ABCO member. So thank you very much, everybody. We'll be doing this all again at the end of June. We've got 3 more award winners. We've got Sarah Byrne from Mosaic Events, Nicola Leader from MCI, and Gemma Rodriguez from TFI Lodestar, who are going to talk about their winning entries at the end of June. So thank you for joining us, and see you all again soon.